Okay, so I've got my co-host in place. So if they could man the waiting room from now on, that would be perfect. And Chris Wood, the Brandalorian, owner of AU
Hey.
Agency. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. I really appreciate you kind of talking so openly within the group. I know it's a different ask than kind of filming a testimonial with just me and you in Riverside, and also consenting to the grilling afterwards. Um, so, for anyone that doesn't know Chris, he's just renewed for another 6 months. So he's completed his 6 month period with us. He's renewed for another few months' time with us. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do, just in case there's people on the call that haven't kind of interacted with you yet.
Yeah, so I kind of help businesses, mainly hands-on founder-led businesses, with their brand foundations. So the who they are, what they're all about, what problem they solve, who they solve it for, and how to communicate that to their tribe essentially and build a loyal following. Um, it often leads on to branding, which is the
Hmm.
more visual and deliverable side of it. But essentially, it is 2 day workshop is what I try to push, where we sit down with the leaders and hopefully some other members of the team
Yeah,
and really get clarity and direction on their business.
amazing.
Often spins out loads of other things, but that's kind of what I try to do.
Opens a whole can of worms.
It does. It does.
No, that's amazing. And as I said, you've been in C2C for just coming up to 6 months. You actually
Yeah.
renew. I think your end date is next week. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because you're one of the people that throughout the 6 month period, you have continuously showed up. You have continuously been on group calls. You've continuously asked for help when you need it, and you've also taken advantage of all the support that's available, whether that's from my team or on the group calls or the community itself. So I've been really impressed with that, and I know that when we had a conversation recently, you were talking very favourably about the support within the program and how it's helped you to move things forward. But before we get into your experience, can you tell me what state of mind were you in and where was your business at before you joined C2C? What made you find us or seek us out?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been running businesses since I was 22, back in
Mhm.
2002. So it was design agency that evolved into me setting up a print company. Kind of merged the two into one bigger company at one point because it just made more sense. And then my biggest client by far asked me to go work for them. So I went and became employed for a bit because I just needed some security.
Yeah.
Then after lockdown, went back to doing it myself, and it's gone far more into branding. Um, Always had an okay flow of customers, but it was a case of feast or famine, as it often is,
Hmm.
and famine kept happening more often than I liked. Always confident in front of customers. If I can get in front, I kind of nearly always or used to close.
Yeah.
Um, and then back in 2023, my wife and I decided to get rid of all of our worldly possessions and move to Spain,
Amazing.
which we had our reasons behind it all. And it was a lot of it was to have an easier lifestyle, less work, more of us kind of thing, which actually meant throughout 2023, I downsized the business a lot. And I only needed to work a couple hours a day. The cost of living out there was cents.
Hmm.
Um, and it was kind of like an early mini retirement, but things didn't pan out how I wanted to. And that kind of lifestyle, there's only so many beers on this rooftop solarium you can have before it starts like getting to you kind of thing. I
Mm.
needed to keep my brain going. And then the December of that year, things went very badly, very quick. I'll not go into the details, but we
No.
more or less kicked out of the country or
Wow.
volunteered to go. But our position was we couldn't be there. We had to sell the house. We lost tens of thousands of pounds,
Wow.
closer to 100 probably, all said and told. But so we came back to the UK in the February. 2024, and we had a year of survival. Literally rebuild the business, didn't have a house, didn't have anything. And it affected us mentally really, really quite badly.
Yeah,
And
imagine.
it was a case of, right, we've lost a load of our savings. We've lost everything we made from selling our house over here. And then back and forth with everything in Spain. So it was paramount that I had to get the business back up and running. And I started doing some networking around the area. And then went to Atomicon, where three hilarious people got up on stage. And
one more hilarious than the others.
Yes. And I think Chris he was the first person up. I think he followed Davina McCall. And I was kind of just like, right, I'll sit and never heard of him, don't know what's going on. He came on stage and everything he was doing, I was like, yeah, I've read this book 100 times over. I've read loads and loads of books and it's all this stuff. But how he delivered it was so, just effing do this, just do it. Like, do this bit, stop, write this down now. And he was saying this to the people in the room, just make notes now, do this. And I think the first thing that got us was he went, everybody who stays here, I'm going to do one thing, you all will leave in profit. And it was buy his book and he'll give it for £1 on Amazon and he'll give us £1.50 at the end of it. And it was like fab, anybody with a hook like that straight away got my attention. So then a lot of it resonated and a lot on that day resonated. But what really hit me was in between the events, normally I've always historically been a great networker, confident in front of people. I'd been on TV. I actually bought my house in Spain on a TV show. So the confidence wasn't a problem, but I turned up at Atomicon and I was just overwhelmed. I stood in the corner and I spoke to a handful of people who I've recognised, didn't make any new connections really. And I just was, what's happened was, and I'm like, can I do business if this has happened? Have I been so affected that this is going to be a problem for me? And then I went, no, I'm going to go over and see Chris, get the book, get me £1.50 off him. Just said, like, look, it was a great show that you've put on. The girls were great with it as well. It was like entertaining as well as informative. So I took the book away and started reading it there and then. And it was just, the way his book was a lot like how he is on the videos. It's like, literally, do this bit, pack it in, stop everything now, get this bit done. And all the other books I've read, you go start to finish and then you've forgotten 80% of it by the time you've finished. Whereas this one, it was kind of, I was making the notes, I was typing things up. My wife actually grabbed it while I wasn't reading it, and she blasted through it quicker than I did and did an amazing job on her little sideline business. And then I think I started following on LinkedIn, and I must have then got on your system. A couple of reach outs, and it was kind of, well, yeah, I'll jump on a call. I think I didn't sign up straight away because, like I say, I was in survivor mode. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, and the investment was too big of a leap at that point. But it was a case of, I'd been on one of these kind of courses before, or what I thought was similar, during lockdown, and it was a $5,000 investment, and I would say the videos were quite good. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. The materials you got workbooks and things that you could then use for yourself. So it was a kind of, you could just take them to your clients and use them. That was really slick. But the calls were fortnightly, and the guy who ran it didn't actually do anything in the calls. We were asking questions. He would maybe say a sentence, but then he would leave it to the floor and the other members. And I quickly realised the members were blind leading the blind, unless somebody had a nugget of information that was worthy. And whereas, like I said, I'll not mention the guy's name, but it was kind of like at the end of it. Apparently, I'm a qualified brand consultant by doing his course.
Congratulations.
I haven't got a certificate or anything like that, but apparently I'm now qualified, which is crackers. So I was quite burnt, and I didn't think, I was really worried that it was going to be much of the same. But after seeing Chris on stage, on the call, it was kind of, that this isn't going to be the same. What I would have liked to have seen maybe was a little bit of interaction with some of the other members. A quick little call with somebody just to ask and go, well, what are you getting from it? But it was kind of, I was 90% there on the buy, and obviously everything changed from the point that I did make that leap. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned already that you felt burned, and I personally really don't like it when before the sale that person is everywhere, and we all know Chris is everywhere, right? He's on every channel, he's blooming everywhere, you can't get rid of him. But if you then got into the program and you never saw him, that's just, for me, that feels disingenuous. Like it just doesn't feel right. So yeah, obviously we're very different from that, and we
100%, yeah. And that was like, even I think the great thing was because I'd seen you, Katie, and Chris in person at Atomicon. When I did the onboarding call with Katie, it didn't feel like I was being fobbed. Whereas the onboarding from the previous one was people I'd never met before. It was a lot of digital side of it. And I really didn't know these people, and they were from all over the world. It was quite Americanized. So it was a little bit like, I'm not 100% sure here. And then his team changed very quickly. Within the 3 to 6 months I was part of it, he was the only constant, and he wasn't very consistent. So it's chalk and cheese compared to what C2C's doing for people.
Amazing. Not amazing, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's great that there's rubbish people out there because people are good. But no, yeah, I'm so glad that you took
the wins.
I remember hearing about your sales call as well from Katie, because she was assaulted not only by a wasp that flew in through her window, but also an acorn falling from a tree went in through her window, she sent me the video after, which is hilarious. So let's start to talk about now how your business has changed since joining the program and going through that process. What do you think has been your biggest mindset shift since starting, do you reckon?
I would, 100% was the charging my worth, not what I thought I was worth. I came from graphic design and hourly rates and freelance kind of thing. And some of my oldest clients from back when I first started in 2002, those guys were still paying very close rates to that, working hours and hours and hours and getting a couple of £100 in for it. And it was kind of, this isn't right. But I couldn't say no to them because I needed the money. I was scrambling. But what it did do is start getting things down. And because it's funny, that's probably the biggest takeaway, but the things that got me to there, putting my systems in place, having a bit more focus, made me realize, well, actually, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about here. And I think I put one of my first proposals in a couple of weeks after being with C2C, and it was for double what I was going to charge. And they said, yes, no problem. I was like, fab.
Amazing.
And another one straight after that was kind of, it was an inquiry, but I knew there was going to be a lot of graft involved in just the discovery. So I said, like, look, I need to do a proper bit of discovery with you here. It's going to be £1,000. And they didn't bat an eyelid. And that was just for speaking to the 4 directors in their business, and pulling a report at the back end of it and everything, time-based. But never before have I ever charged for pre-work. I'd always give bits away for free to get the work. And so that was kind of huge for me. And it was a quick win because I say it was in the first few weeks. And then I was like, well, if it happened once, it can happen again, and it can happen again. But that alongside everything, all the calls, all of doing the course itself, just then went, well, actually, can I go up again? And for all I haven't done price rises because I don't kind of have that structure in my business. Mentally, I've been raising my prices ever since starting, and it's like I've got a customer at the moment who I'm upping the price. I think I put it on the Slack earlier. I'm really not sure about them. So I've whacked the price right up to say, well, if this scares him off, great. If he goes for it, I've put enough in there to cover it. And he hasn't said no, which he has historically always used to say no to things. So it's kind of, it validated what I was doing, but gave me focus to do it in a far better way.
Yeah. And that's something that we see so much. Just to give us a ballpark idea of where you were and where you are now, you mentioned that you were doing kind of freelance rates. Where was that kind of sitting at as opposed to where you are now when you're charting? I know it's a bit difficult because your work is bespoke, but like just give me a ballpark of the difference.
Well, for example, the client I've got, Happiest at Home, they put not carers, but they put people into elderly people's homes to help them with shopping, keep them company and stuff. And this guy was my first ever client. So he did help me get off the ground, and I think he's held that against us for years. I did a job for him while I was in Spain, and it was literally £250, I think I got for it. For the same amount of time that took, I've just done one a couple of weeks ago after a call with Vicky Lewis, because it was more a systems-y kind of thing, and I charged £3,000 for it. So it's like, the difference this time is I told him, I said, Paul, stop taking the piss. Sorry for swearing. Stop taking the piss. It's a case of you're still on a silly friends rate, yet you don't treat me like a friend. You want to grow your business, but you are not doing anything to make that happen. If you want me to spend some good time in your business and actually move the needle, that term's chucked about too much these days, but I did say that to him. Put your hand in your pocket and let's make a difference. And he was like, oh. He said, well, you've never told us off before. And I went, yeah, because I've never taken your business serious before. I want to make a difference because then you're going to pay me more going forward. And it's great because he said yes. And I've actually had another job since then. And that, like I say, that was about a month ago. And I've got another one booked in already. So going from £250 to £3,000 to £4,000 for the same amount of time. Yes, the work's a lot more mentally draining, but it took me about the same time, and like that speaks wonders, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but that's like a 10x. So yeah. Amazing. I just had to work that out. Then I was like, is it? So yeah, amazing. And it sounds to me, or it feels to me anyway. Oh, someone's just popped into the way to yeah, it feels to me like your confidence is back. Like you were at rock bottom, like in terms of confidence level.
Yeah, I could not. I couldn't go to a stranger or a group of strangers and say hello. Yeah, that was never me.
Yeah, and it's been
the group feel of these as well has massively helped that. Did a bit of like networking in Newcastle, and I got a little bit of confidence back. But doing these in between twice a week, and not being afraid to put my hand up and say something, and even Chris engaging, going, "Oh, Chris, how are you doing?" and yourself, Katie, everybody, it has really like pulled me back. So thank you.
Thank you, because yeah, you're the kind of person that you just can't help but want to succeed, because you do the work and you ask for help and you take the advice and you just crack on. And yeah, for anyone that's ever feeling like overwhelmed by the group size, because I know the group calls can be quite big, please still put your hand up. Like, there is no such thing as a stupid question. We are here to help you. We're here to support you. We are invested in your success. So always just ask the question. Do it in private if you don't want to do it on a group call, and we can work out a solution.
The chat's a great way of doing it. If you've got a question, just to ease yourself in. I know I did that at the start, but also the rest of the group are invaluable. I've helped people. People have helped me, and I think I said this with our chat. it really does feel like a family. It's me little digital family on a Tuesday and Thursday. So it's massive help moving my business and mindset forward.
Yeah, and it's obvious to see as well. You are a different person than when you joined in terms of your confidence levels. We see it all the time, like with not just you specifically, but like with loads of clients. For me, that was a huge part of my transformation. Was I was a timid little mouse. Like I didn't ask, I didn't like I was asking for business, but I would turn up to a sales call like, I'm a writer, what do you need? Let's do it your way. Yes, of course we can do this, Like because you're in that kind of desperation state where you're like, I need this work. Whereas now I pitch up to a sales call and I'm like, no, that's not how we do things around here. This is what we're going to do. And it's part of that transition. I did another interview recently and we had exactly this conversation. But it's so rewarding to see in you guys because I get to live it again vicariously a little bit through you. So amazing. So this is all really, really good. So we've talked a little bit about how things have changed, but what does the business look like now compared to what it did when you first started? Like, what's your typical kind of, just what's it look like now?
It's a hell of a lot more systemized. I've always had CRMs. I've built CRMs for previous company I worked for. And it was quite a big one. It was always like, yes. And I was telling the salespeople always, use it. It will help you. And the rest of the staff, I've never implemented one myself for my own business. It's always been up here. And that was always enough until I realised it wasn't. And the course kind of went, and just pulled at that thread a little bit that I knew I was going to have to go for it. And so I implemented HubSpot with Zoom, Fathom, Xero. It's a full ecosystem now. And what's great is every call is planned, delivered, recorded, and then reviewed. Historically, I would come off a call, think what I need to do from that, and then move on, and then forget to do it, and this and the other. And I think communication with my customers wasn't as good as it should have been. Good enough for them because nobody ever complained about it. But I think now they've noticed it's gone up a level as well, especially the ones that I've worked with for years because they're the ones who are now willing to pay more and more. They're the ones who have been from day one to however many years later. And so for me, it's kind of, I don't have to be at my desk crack of dawn like I used to be. Because I always thought I had to be at my desk because that meant productivity and that meant working. So I start later when I can. But when I get to the desk, it's jump on the 20mm, which that even as a confidence booster on LinkedIn, I've used LinkedIn for years. I was always fine with that. Even when I didn't have confidence in person, LinkedIn was still going. But what it did is also focus that. So it's kind of, right, get up, get that done, make me connections, get me post out, message everybody, get me calls in. My DM game probably does need work still. But what it does mean is that I'm now working deep work time for chunks rather than for a whole day, but then burning out by 2-3 o'clock. So now it's kind of up until 5 o'clock. I'm still delivering good structured work. Also, it's a case of, like I say, the clients I've got better. Up until recently, I have been still having to say yes to a lot of jobs that I wouldn't want to, just to recoup everything we need to recoup. There's still going to be a few months of that ahead, but as I said today on the Slack, it is a case of now I've got two, which I'm in a position because the inquiries are coming in. The clients I've got are paying more. That it's getting to the point that these two, I'm thinking, I could actually hand them off to somebody else and get a finder's fee, or just do the management of it and outsource it. But it's been a long time since I've been in that position where I can turn away work if I wanted to. and that in itself brings a confidence, really
Yeah.
does. And it's a case of now, like, I haven't transformed the business massively as far as the offer goes. It's not like a productized, which I would love to do, but just what I do is so diverse and
Yeah.
changes so much that it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago, well, no, about a month ago, I went, right, I'm not going to do that part of the course. And it was an active choice on my side, I think, because I can either chuck everything in doing that or do what I'm doing now and get it work. And then if I can start finding a system of going, right, well, actually, I'm doing more of this, productize that, or systemize it. And so it's kind of, I'm in a really good place with the business now. I'm not worried at the end of each month. It's tight, but it's not worry kind of tight. The work I'm doing, I love, because I'm shaping that rather than being told what to do and saying, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. It's kind of, well, actually, no, that's not what you need. I've been asked by one client to be their brand director, a kind of non-exec role. And I was saying that's who I huffed the other day, that was on the call to. And that, again, was due to communication, and I dropped the ball on one little bit, which historically I would have probably got emotional and reacted to his reaction, but I didn't. I kind of breathed through it, said, there's more to it than what I've done here. Because what I did wasn't actually wrong in the end at all. It was somebody else had been stirring the pot in the business. But it's, like I say, I've been asked to be the director of that company. I've been asked to be a partner in a second company, which, if that comes off, will be life-changing. And that person came back into my business life because of what I was putting out on LinkedIn, because of what I was doing through the course. And like I say, if this one comes off, it's life-changing. I could just ride on the income coming from that, and it's not a lot of work. It's kind of residual profit share on sales of a product. So it's kind of, but I would never have had the confidence to go ahead with those two. In fact, yesterday I got asked to be a shareholder in another business, which is a question I wanted to put out to the team at some point. I'll not do it tonight, because it's kind of, do I really want to be spreading myself this thin? Because a lot of my time will be on that and not on what I've been building through the course. I think if one of them is enough to keep us going, the exec search company, which I'm the NED of, those two, and then my regular flow of clients, that's kind of would be a lovely, that's the end of this year's goal, is to have that running, where I've got 2 or 3 clients a month coming in from DMs and my 2 other side projects. I mean, the exec search want to fly me out to Dubai in May, so to celebrate their 3rd birthday. So it's like, and again, he was somebody I worked with back in 2000, and he saw what I was putting out again. He just sacked his marketing company and went, Chris, will you just help us out with this? Put you on a little retainer, just help us out. And then, do you want to be more? Now they, well, yeah, flights to Miami, flights to Dubai. I can't say no to things like that. But it's actually, I really enjoy that work as well. And again, I've used loads of Chris's lines while I've been knocking heads with the CEO, because he's so emotionally driven and he goes with his gut more than facts and figures. But then when I can bring facts and figures and the objection handling things from the course, he then has a half a day to a day's worth of huffing, and then he comes back, yeah, that's a great idea, as if nothing's happened. And it's like, excellent. And again, those confidence and the scripts are all in the back end of the course, so use it, is what I would tell the rest of the team, rest of the crew. Get in there and search for them if you've got one thing you're struggling with, which objections was mine. So looking forward to the call next week. So it's kind of focus on those, and they'll help. They do help. I'm living proof.
Honestly, I'm getting quite emotional listening to it because it's like, yeah, I just like I know
You
some more
don't
of the
get time to
background.
reflect on these things, so this call is like it is emotional.
Yeah.
It's it's
Yeah, I
it's
can
feeling.
see Katie in the corner of my screen as well. I think she might be as well a little bit. So yeah, and yeah, obviously for her as well because she brought you in. Like
Yeah,
we get to see the transformation, and it's so rewarding. We see glimpses, but it's really really nice to actually do a proper deep dive so we can
yeah.
see all the pieces fitting together rather than just what's in the Winds channel or
Mhm.
just the chats we have behind the scenes where things aren't going so well. You know, those low moments that come to the
That's
fore
yeah,
every so
yeah.
often. So yeah, it's really, really I'm loving this chat. Anyway, how has this impacted your life outside of business? It must have had an impact, like others must have noticed this change.
Yeah, I mean, it. This is where I might get emotional. It couldn't come at a better time. Post Spain, post. I'll say it. My wife had a breakdown because of it all last year, and it was really hard times. My dad took ill. My sister's just been, or we think is about to be diagnosed with cancer, and it was a case of having this and having this focus and having not to worry about the business, which is sleepless nights has always been a thing for
Mm.
me. I've hospitalized because of insomnia when I was younger. Um, but when I'm not sleeping, it's not because of work anymore. And the works actually give me the strength to go, right, I don't need to worry about that. I can look after my family. Maybe it's not as financially as I'd like to and as I used to, but that's not what people need at the moment from me. And it's, like I say, it's just such a good time for me to be in the best place I could be
Yeah.
with work. Um, like I said, the goals for Spain was so me and Ali had more time together. That we weren't, I wasn't tied with desk. I wasn't jumping to the beat of all my customers shouting, "We need this now." Um, and the daft thing is, it took moving to Spain, getting kicked out of the country, losing all that money to find it here at home. Where Tuesday afternoon, Ali doesn't work, so the two of us might go out to the cinema, we might go out for a big walk somewhere. Um, I no longer live for the weekend because work isn't a 9 to 5 thing anymore. It's a when work's needed, I'll do a bit, but only up until the point that I'm about to burn, and I've got quite a tune to do working when that's coming.
Yeah.
Um, personal life, it's helped more than anybody will ever know. I think, yeah, it's more than I could probably describe it.
I can sense the emotion in your voice, so we won't
Yeah,
probe any further there.
it is. Come on.
But I'm really, really pleased,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, that's why we're here, because we want to build a
Mhm.
business that works around our lives, not try and live around the
Yeah.
beast that we've created, you know?
And it's not a. I think in the early days you'd see the wins and it was like, oh, no, why aren't I getting it? And it's because in the early days I did not have my foot on the pedal fully with C2C. I was kind of doing it a little bit. It wasn't until this year where I've really put my foot down. And it was a case of you were seeing those wins and a little bit disheartened, but it's that just keep pushing away at it because it. And what I love is some people on this in this group will be earning 10 times what I. Some people would love to have what I'm earning. I would imagine, and it's kind of it's that don't judge yourself by others. The group isn't here. It's here for one man bands who are wanting a lifestyle business. It's here for people who do want to 10x their businesses and sell it or whatever. There's no. I think the previous course I was on was all pitched towards building this huge agency that you could sell or get investment in and things, which is just not me. Um, I don't live to work, I work to live. And that's what I think I've found with most of the group that I've spoken to. Work isn't everything, there's a lot more importance in the things I've just told you about. Nothing's more important than friends and family. And this course has let me have more of that.
Oh, thank you. This is Chris is going to be so happy. So it's just taking all the emotional
Yeah, it's a
boxes.
shame he's not here tonight.
I know. Okay, so nearly done now, and then we'll go into the Q&A because I'm sure people have got questions. So is there one part of C2C that you think is the most powerful, or is it a combination of elements? And if so,
It's
what are those elements?
definitely holistic. It's I don't think I could put. Well, the group is, and I said this at C2C Live. That's what's really made it worth sticking for and doing the hard work, because it doesn't, not some of it doesn't come easy, some of it comes easier in the course. But having the group around you, having the C2C team who are worth their weight in gold, you are. And I hope Chris pays you well for it.
You listening, Chris?
Yes.
I want
But I think it's the biggest difference from, say, the hundreds and hundreds of business books that I've read is that you read them and you do nothing with them. How Chris does it is, do this chunk and then deliver what you've just done. Do this chunk, and I've started applying that to my day-to-day stuff as well. It's kind of, don't try and take everything in and then get it all done later on. Break everything into chunks like that you can manage.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, and that's what does make the difference. It's those small steps that, rather than trying to go 0 to 100 from nothing, just take those small steps and take the little wins. So yeah, the group is the main thing, but then how it's delivered is secondary to that. It's what's worked for me this time, which has never worked for me before.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. My ego is like this now. Like
Good.
I'm
Should
in
be.
my office door. Like, Scott, help me, I'm stuck. One final question, and then we'll get to Q&A. Now, this is a Chris question. If anyone's been interviewed by me, they'll know what it's already. They'll know what this one is. But let's pretend that one of your best friends was considering joining C2C or renewing, staying in C2C if they're already inside, and you had to persuade them. What would you say to them? I feel like you've nailed all this as we've gone along, but if you had like a sentence summary, how would you get them to either join or stay?
It would be, why wouldn't you? Look at what you've achieved if you're in the course already. And if you haven't achieved, reflect on why. Because anybody in this course should. But it would be that, yeah, why wouldn't you? If for nothing else, the FOMO of not being part of it, I think you would plateau. You wouldn't keep growing. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Amazing. And I can't believe I forgot to ask this question. Chris is here in spirit because he's just messaged me saying capital letters. What's been your best financial milestone, whether that's month or in total? How much do you think you've brought in as a result of the work you've done over the last 6 months?
Well, it's a minimum of 4 to 5 grand months, whereas in Spain I was down to €1,000 months, £1,000 months. When I first came back, probably 1 to 2, so it's more than doubled, and that's regular now. But it's more like I say, the two big opportunities that I've got in front of me. If one comes off, I'll be able to quantify it, and I think it is coming off. The legals are all in place and everything. It's just I want to get it signed by the other party.
Of course.
If that comes off, I'll give you the quantifiable amount, because that will be hundreds of thousands of pounds per year. It will. I'd imagine it'll be 100 grand a year if it goes how I want. And again, that relationship only came back into my life because of what I was doing on LinkedIn following the C2C course.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
There's a soundbite for you.
Yeah, he'll be happy now. I am absolutely buzzing for you, because to see what the next 6, 12, 18 months hold for you?
That's it. The next 6 months, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for. And I think
Yeah.
2024 was survival. This year's just growth and building.
Time to thrive.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.